What's up? I'm Bea and welcome to my channel. I hope you have had a great week so far and I'm happy you're here to just catch up and chat with me once again. The first thing that I want to talk about is this whole Marilyn Monroe Kim K dress ordeal. I feel like I'm kind of on the same page with a lot of the things that I'm seeing. Basically, if you didn't know, Kim Kardashian wore I know it sounds silly to some people to say that like a dress is iconic, but it was an iconic dress that Marilyn Monroe had made specifically for her. She sang "Happy Birthday, Mr. President" to JFK in this dress. I believe they were at Madison Square Garden. I don't know. I have so many like random history, like fun facts and tidbits in my head that sometimes I feel like I can't keep them straight. I feel like I say something as if I know it and this is a fact, and then I question myself after I say it, but I'm pretty sure that's where they were. In any case, it was an iconic Marilyn Monroe dress. Kim Kardashian wore it for a few minutes for the Met Gala. She went on this just wildly intense diet to fit into it because she's obviously a different size than Marilyn Monroe and it was made specifically for her. And now pictures are coming out that the dress has been damaged. There's some of the beading falling off. It looks like the seam where the zipper is in the back has like pudged or like bulged, so it's a little bit damaged there. And it is a shame. I get that some people will be like, oh, well, it's just a dress. Who cares? As somebody who really loves history, I care, and I feel like we need to, not need to, but I would just love it if people gave respect to important items from history. I feel like a lot of people, when you think of Marilyn Monroe, or if somebody makes mention of like, "Happy birthday, Mr. President," that's one of the things that pops into your head. That dress, Marilyn wearing that dress. And she was a really big figure in our history because of the impact that she had not only on movies but in her relationships and inner workings with other people outside of the movie industry. And so I feel like it's a real shame that that got destroyed. And not destroyed, but damaged. And I've seen a few people on Twitter, they could be completely wrong, they could be lying, and I could just be a fool, but I've seen some people saying that parts of that dress were made with a technique that isn't used anymore or isn't like widely available, and so restoring the dress would be really hard. And I'm just disappointed that Kim, with all of her money, didn't decide to say, you know what, I can't fit into this dress. Obviously, I'm too big for it, and so I don't want to damage it. I don't want to take that risk, and I'll just have a replica made, because she had a replica made that she wore for the rest of the night. I don't understand why she needed to wear that dress for a few minutes. It just seems like a lot of work for something that, could have just been really cool, like paying homage to Marilyn if you just wore your replica dress. I feel like that would be an option. And I'm also disappointed in Ripley's Believe It or Not for being like, yeah, go ahead and wear it. Come on. And in thinking about this and thinking about Marilyn Monroe and all of the different people and projects and things that she was involved in and all the connections and conspiracies around her life, it just sent me like into a rabbit hole of my own mind. And so obviously, because of that dress, it makes me think about her connection with the Kennedys, and then I'm thinking about Jackie's life, then I'm thinking about LBJ, who, if you don't live in America and you don't know much about our, how our political system works, I wouldn't expect you to, because I have very limited knowledge on other countries' political systems, like how people go into power, stuff like that. But if the president dies, the vice president becomes the president. And so Lyndon B. Johnson, at the time of Kennedy's assassination, was the vice president, and he got sworn in on Air Force One less than an hour after Kennedy was assassinated, which I get the speed of which they needed to do it. But Jacki O is standing right next to him, and from what I've heard, he was pretty insistent on her being there to be like, look, see, she's in support of it, because Kennedy and LBJ had somewhat of a tense relationship. And so just thinking about Jacki O being there, Kennedy's wife, after her husband's dead, watching somebody else get signed into his, you know, his office is just, man, I'm like in a tailspin about it. We'll move on. I think it was disrespectful of Kim to wear the dress. I think it was inappropriate. I get that she loves having like the media hype and she does things for controversy because it gets her more attention, and I understand that when attention is something vital to your career, you know, you got to keep it up. When people are talking about you, whether it's good or bad, business is good. But maybe there are some things that we don't do. Anyway, moving on. I watched the documentary Keep Sweet, Pray, and Obey. Well, it's like a mini-series. It's a 4-part series based on the FLDS, which are the fundamentalists of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and Warren Jeffs. I was angry. They're mainly located in Utah, but there's a border town in Arizona that the FLDS were really heavily involved in, and then there's also another kind of ranch, is what they call it, the, like, Zion, what is it called? Yearning for Zion Ranch, the YFZ Ranch in El Dorado, Texas. And so, you know, being in Arizona, I'm kind of in that area, and so I remember hearing about this a little bit, but it was back in like 2006, 2007, and I was in junior high, and so I didn't really understand the magnitude of it. But there is a really big Mormon influence in the town that I went to junior high and high school with, but it's more mainstream Mormonism. It's definitely not the FLDS, the fundamentalists. They engage in polygamy, so plural wives. The story is just wild to me. It was just kind of about like exploring their beliefs and what life was like living in the FLDS. They had people who had left the church there being interviewed. Basically, Warren Jeffs was arrested and charged for assisting in the rape of a child, is what they were really able to get him on initially, because there had been talk about girls as young as like 14 being married to older men. And so Warren Jeffs is, you know, the villain of the story who is facing legal consequences, but his dad was a menace as well. His dad, Rulon Jeffs, was the original prophet of this particular sect, this particular group, and he had a ton of wives. A lot of them were very young, and obviously there were unhealthy sexual relationships there. One of the girls who was interviewed, she was, I think, 18 or 19 when she married him, and she's like, you know what, I got smart. I figured out if I took my time and I rubbed his feet, I could get him to fall asleep and I could get out of it, because this dude was in his 70s when he married her. And so she's like, I figured out how to get out of it, and it worked a few times until it stopped working. And that's just so disgusting and upsetting that she had to even be in that position in the first place. And then when Rulon died, Jeffs very deftly took power. He was very much, he saw it coming, and he put himself in a position to where that was like the only outcome. That was the inevitable outcome, was him getting into power. This whole entire story is just devastating, because I think, you know, anytime you grow up in an insulated community, you have that risk of abuse happening and people being forced to do things they don't want to do, people maybe not having all of the knowledge to recognize when something's not quite right, and the confidence to be able to speak up for themselves. And so Warren Jeffs just starts, you know, separating families. He gives wives away to other people and takes husbands away when he's displeased with them, and now the wives are moved to another husband, and they are never able to talk about their real dad ever again. This new guy, he's dad. So all of this chaos is happening. Warren Jeffs starts taking kids from their parents, like from their moms, and bringing them from Utah to Texas to work on this ranch, and the moms have no say in it. They are so devastated. Just the entire story is heartbreaking, and so that was a good watch. I would definitely recommend checking it out if you're interested in that at all. And now if you don't know the story, I won't give too much away, but I will say there is kind of a star of the show, somebody who played a very pivotal role in, I don't want to say bringing this to an end, because Warren Jeffs is convicted, he's in jail, but he's still like pulling the strings. However, he wouldn't have even, you know, maybe he would have been arrested, maybe he would have been convicted without this person, but I think this person played a pivotal role. Like, they were so important to the case, and the fact that they were willing to do what they did in order to cooperate with the authorities is just super incredible, super impressive, so brave. That's all I'll say. I don't want to give, I mean, I know it's like a 15-year-old story, but I won't give too much of the details away in case you haven't like read a lot on it and you want to watch the documentary and have some things left to surprise. Now, I'm filming this part a little bit later than the first part of my video because I had an interruption, and in that time I went on Twitter and I saw Ripley's released a statement stating that Kim Kardashian did not damage the dress, that the damage was documented in 2017. Whether that's true, whether they were paid to say it, whether it's, you know, I don't know. Who's to say? But I figured I would be fair, I would put it out there, and I would let you know that there has been a statement. I don't know where those pictures came from, but you can make your own choice on whether or not you believe it to be an authentic, genuine statement or more of a PR move. The last thing I want to talk about is something that I was thinking about all week, and it's just the fact that there is so much that goes into being a productive adult that it's almost kind of fascinating. And maybe you grew up knowing these things, maybe you didn't, maybe you learned them as you got older, but I was just thinking about cleaning out our drain in our shower because it was running a little bit slowly, so I got some, you know, it wasn't Drano, it was like the Target brand of Drano for hair clogs, and you know, I was cleaning out the drain and I was just thinking, I never did this as a kid. You know, as I've grown up, I've started learning about other things and, you know, maintaining a house. There's so much that goes into maintaining a house. When I was a kid, I had chores. I had to, you know, dust, had to do the windows and mirrors, had to help clean up the bathrooms, and so stuff like that, I just kind of thought, that's how you maintain a house. But then you move out on your own or with roommates, or, you know, you get your own place that you're responsible for, and you start noticing all these things, and I was just thinking, man, there's so much that my parents did that I just had no clue about, and they never mentioned it, and I'm sure there's going to be even more things as I get older that I realize, oh, that's part of being an adult too, or that's part of maintaining your house or maintaining your health, and oh, wow, I had no clue. The one thing that I learned as an adult that really threw me is that not only do you have to clean out the vent in front of your dryer, because I always knew about that. It was always just, you're putting a new load in, make sure you know, scoop the lint out of the little lint catcher. But I learned that you have to pull the dryer out, get access to that back vent and clean it out, because lint can go in there too and it's a fire hazard. That was something that blew me away. I had no idea. Other things like cleaning your ceiling fans and making sure you dust your baseboards every now and then, and even like dusting the walls, especially if you have a pet, because their hair can get up super high and you don't even notice it because you're not that tall and you don't see it. And then one day you swipe and you're like, there's hair there, and you got to clean the rest of it. Just little things that you don't necessarily always think about if you didn't grow up doing them, or if no. Liberty, what are you doing? She is sitting by the front door just sniffing real hard at the crack. I'm so confused. But just all of this stuff that you have to do to maintain your house. And not only that, but like maintaining your mental health and your physical health as you get older becomes more important and more of a challenge. And you know, you have to work really hard, I'm figuring out, to keep all of those in line, to keep all of those on track. That is no easy task. I don't know, does that stress anybody else out, just thinking about doctor's appointments, making sure you go to the dentist to get your teeth cleaned, making sure you have razor heads on deck, so that way when you run out you have one more. It's just like, oh my gosh, there is so much happening. And I think maybe it's also a little bit harder just because the past few years, both personally and on a global scale, have been really chaotic and stressful, and there's so much going on, and so every little thing kind of seems to be more amplified than maybe it would have been under different circumstances. But I just think that it's interesting. So I'm curious to know if you feel that way too, if there's anything for you that as an adult, when you realized you had to do it, or you realized how hard it was to do it, you were just kind of shocked. There was one more thing I wanted to talk about, and I couldn't think of it. I was trying to rack my brain and remember what that last thing was. And the last thing relates to what we were just talking about with things that take more effort as you get older, and maintaining relationships is definitely one of those. It's something where it sounds like it should be super easy, where it's like, oh, you know, I like you, you like me, we're friends. That's it. But once you get out of high school, and even more so out of college, it is something that I'm finding takes a lot of effort to maintain friendships, and even to show the people that, you know, I'm related to and I love, that I love and care about them. Because I was thinking about how the last time I sent a package to Monks and Beans, who were two kids in my family that I did kinship foster care for, was for Beans' birthday back in April. And so I was thinking about how it would be nice if I sent them just like a little summer fun package. And so I went to Target to get stuff, and I might have gone a little bit overboard. I'm not sure if everything is gonna fit in the box that I got, because when I went to the post office to get a box, they only had the medium boxes, not the big boxes, whatever. But so I had to, I didn't have to, I chose to go get that stuff, and then I had to get a box from the post office, and then I had to go to Fry's to get some manila envelopes, because their parents had written them letters while they were with us, and we put them all in like individual savings boxes. So we have, you know, letters from parents, and then, you know, Monks' art projects, Beans' art projects, stuff from daycare that we had just been saving. And in, you know, the chaos of getting them moved to their grandparents' house, I completely forgot. I blanked it. And so I've been meaning to send those to them, because, you know, the art projects are nice, but more so letters from their biological parents I think are so important for them to have. And so, you know, I had to go get that, and I'm going to include it in the package. And I was just thinking, like, I've had to run 3 separate errands, and now once I pack it, I'm gonna have to run back to the post office. And so I'm glad to do it. I know they're gonna really enjoy the stuff that I got for them. And, you know, it's always, who doesn't love to get a package? It's always fun to get a package, especially when you're little, something like specifically for you that's meant to make you happy. And so I'm glad to do it. But I was just thinking, like, man, sometimes maintaining relationships, it's not something that's hard, but it takes, well, I guess in some situations it is, but I think in general with like healthy relationships, it's more so just being intentional and remembering to show those people that you care. And I think it's just interesting because, again, that's something that takes a conscious effort, and you have to be intentional about it, and you kind of have to remind yourself to show people that you care, especially as you get older, because you get busier and there are things taking your attention away. And so it's really easy to just kind of drop showing people that. And with some friendships, like, you guys are on the same wavelength. It's like, all, you know, we'll talk, we'll have a great time, we'll catch up, maybe we go get lunch, everything's like, it's like we talk every day, but then after that we don't talk for 6 months, and then one of us thinks of the other, and oh hey, and you know, you just pick back up where you left off. And those friendships are really nice, but there are some where it takes a little bit more effort to maintain. And so it's just an interesting thing when you sit back and you evaluate that, because I think maybe on some level we all know that we have to put effort into showing people that we care about them, but when you take a step back and you actually articulate it, it's just an interesting concept. So I'm really interested to know what you think about that. Have you realized that about yourself, or do you find that it's really easy, that you don't have to be intentional, that it just comes naturally to you? Do you struggle? I'm curious. I'm very interested in how other people in the world interact with each other and how they approach friendships and relationships, because I think we all have a different perspective on it, and so it's just really cool to hear how other people see that situation. But that is all I've got for this week. Thank you for hanging out with me. Let me know your thoughts on all the stuff we talked about. I feel like I bounced all over the place, but I just had a lot of things that I wanted to chat with you about. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and while you're doing that, if you would consider liking this video or subscribing to my channel, that would be incredible. And if you are subscribed already, thank you so much. I am so appreciative of you, and I love being able to just sit here, hang out, and talk about whatever. Thank you for watching. Please be kind to people, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.